because if you do manage to shoot the rhinoceros, then you'll be a hero forever. But if you fail, everyone will say, well, you can't. Who can shoot a rhinoceros anyway? So he wanted to establish more or less a college in Oxford with the full legitimate connection with the college, with Oxford University. And he needed someone like Keith Ward to do that, because Keith Ward was the chief theologian in Oxford. Anyway, he was very dry, and he was somewhat defensive. He was not unpleasant, he was polite, but he was on his defence. Just like Sarvabhauma, when Lord Chaitanya first came to Jagannath Puri, which is sort of like the Oxford of Eastern India, he and Sarvabhauma saw this young sannyasi and found him extraordinarily attractive. He was very attracted to his spirit. Of course, we can times 100. Lord Chaitanya was dazzling personality, but he was attracted to his spirit, and so he had him brought to his house, as you know in the story. He was discovered fainted away in the temple. So Sarvabhauma rescued him and brought him to his house, and immediately he was thinking in a compassionate way. He was thinking, well, this young, beautiful man, he's a handsome young man, he's a sannyasi, he's going to need all the help he can get to be able to stick to his sannyas vow. So I'd better take him in hand. And he began talking in that sort of patronising way. So anyway, simply Keith Ward, I think, he took a little bit of compassion on us. He thought, well, you seem like nice young boys, and I'm not really sure about this Hare Krishna business, but I'll help you. Anyway, in the course of time, Keith Ward has changed, and he's now, I wouldn't say he's a devotee, but he's a very good friend of devotees, a huge supporter of the Oxford Centre for Hindu Studies, as it's now called. In the case of Sarvabhauma, he thought, I'm a very wise man, and here's a young man who needs my help, let me make him my student. And when he told Gopinath about this, Gopinath was Sarvabhauma's brother-in-law. And brothers-in-law, they're very close friends. So although Sarvabhauma was an important spiritual leader, religious leader, who normally people would have to probably make an appointment to come and see or something like that. But in the case of Gopinath, they were brothers-in-law. So they used to talk about so many things. So Gopinath said, no, you shouldn't patronize this sannyasi, Sri Krishna Chaitanya. He is Krishna himself. He actually came right out and he told him. And of course Sarvabhauma didn't accept that at all. He argued vociferously and quoted he quoted some scripture, because that's what scholars do, to refute. He said, no, the Lord is known as Tri Yuga, which means he incarnates only in 3 yugas. He doesn't incarnate. There's no incarnation of Krishna in this age. And then Gopinath, he contradicted Sarvabhauma, and he quoted some other very important verses for us from the Bhagavatam and from the Vedas and so on, to prove that actually the Lord does incarnate in the age of Kali as a devotee. But Sarvabhauma wasn't convinced. He said, well, you can get all hot under the collar and argue with me, but I don't accept you. He actually said, don't get angry, which is the worst that said somebody who's getting angry. But he said, we're just discussing as friends here. Let's not forget that. But I don't accept that, and so he then decided that he was going to teach Lord Chaitanya the Vedanta Sutra, which he did. And in the course of all of that, he underwent a change of heart. Very dramatic change of heart. And Lord Chaitanya, there's a beautiful picture. Is it on the cover of this? No. On the cover of one of the, maybe it's inside. There's a beautiful picture of Lord Chaitanya revealing his identity to Sarvabhauma. I don't know if any of you can see from where you are. Sarvabhauma is full length of paying obeisances in front of Lord Chaitanya, and Lord Chaitanya is showing him, I am Vishnu and I am Krishna. This is a huge revelation. Now, of course, it's interesting because when this occurred, if we follow the story we're seeing, the only person present was Sarvabhauma. So we only have his word for it, okay? But Sarvabhauma, he's like a scholar, and his whole reputation is based upon quoting the right sources, being authoritative. He's not given to flights of fancy. So Sarvabhauma, clearly, he gave this account that I saw with my own eyes that Sri Krishna Chaitanya, he appeared to me as four-armed Vishnu, and then he appeared to me as Krishna playing a flute. And so now I know with my own eyes. Forget the Shastra, right? He saw with his own eyes that this was indeed the incarnation of Krishna. And after that he became an ecstatic devotee. And that's when we come to this, where we are here, that Gopinath Acharya, when they'd been having this discussion earlier on, and it got a little heated, and Gopinath said, well anyway, what's the point? I've just quoted all these scriptures to you, but there's no use in doing that. Because unless you have received the mercy of the Lord, you won't understand. And we see this all the time. You can quote any number of scriptures and any number of logical arguments, but that won't change a person's heart. That's a much different thing, to change a person's heart. And so Gopinath said, I found those verses earlier on. He said to him, you're a great scholar and a teacher. You have many disciples. Indeed, there is no scholar like you on earth. But because you do not have even a pinch of the Lord's mercy, you can't understand. Even though he's in your own home. He has Lord Chaitanya there in his home. But you can't understand because you haven't received his mercy. And then he said, it's not your fault anyway. It's the verdict of the scriptures. You can't understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead just by scholarship. And then he also said, he said to him, there is no need to quote so much evidence from the Shastras because you're just a dry speculator. What's the point of sowing seeds in barren land? When the Lord will be pleased with you, then you will understand these conclusions. And we'll quote from the Shastras.